All right, welcome. This week in our Tech PD, we're going to talk about Google Photos. We talked about it a little bit last week, or week before vacation. We mentioned it, but this we're going to kind of follow up and do a little bit more of a deep dive. We're also going to cover some virtual reality stuff. We mentioned these headsets a couple weeks ago. We are good to go. So if you are in the big building, we'll be able to sign those out, and I'll show you how that works. And then in the elementary schools, we'll talk about that too, how we can make that work as well. And then finally, we'll wrap up with a little bit of news about other stuff coming up as far as other activities, virtual activities. They'll be available to your students. So we're going to start today. Let me do a quick screen share here. All right. We talk about digital photography workflow, specifically Google Photos. And the reason why, we've talked about Google Photos before, but why I thought it was worthwhile bringing it up again is because in June, Google Photos is no longer going to be unlimited. Now, this will not affect anybody's school account. So basically, for all intents and purposes, our school accounts are unlimited storage. Technically, they're not, but we haven't had any issues with anybody kind of reaching the limits that are even out there. Google Photos for personal accounts have always been free, and they announced that in June or July or the summer, they're going to change those from being unlimited to still a pretty large amount. I think it's like 15 or 20 gigabytes, which is quite a bit. But the reason why I wanted to mention that specifically is because if you have photos, and I don't mean just digital photos, certainly digital photos, but also physical photos, that process of uploading them and getting them organized and so forth, I would recommend doing it now so they won't count against your space. One of the most common questions I get from my family, and my sisters will come to me and say, hey, my iPhone, it's full. I don't have any more storage here. Why? What can I do? And one of the most common reasons is photos and or videos, right? So my answer to that always has been in the past is install Google Photos. It automatically uploads them when it's on Wi-Fi, so you have a copy of all your photos. It was unlimited, and then you could remove them off your local device, and that way you'll have storage. Problem solved. I still recommend that for this process. The only difference is if you do have a lot of photos that you want to upload or want to store for free, I would do it before June, is what I'm driving at. So I actually took last week, my sons and I went through. We took a lot of physical photos that we have, just like the old Candids, Polaroids or whatever. And I'll show you an app that you could use to scan those, and it'll automatically wirelessly upload them so that you can get those digitized. And so we'll talk about that process. One of the things now that we know, we have more and more photos than ever. I've said this statistic before with you guys, and for me, it's blown away. My students, when I mention the statistics, they don't really think anything of it. But we now, as a society or as a planet, take more photos every year or more pictures every year than all the years previously combined. Of course, that's just getting bigger and bigger exponentially. Because I would guess right now, my guess is that every one of you are within an arm's reach of a camera, either your phone, obviously your laptop, if you can hear, maybe you have another device lying around that has a camera, but they're just everywhere, right? And so the issue isn't necessarily taking photos or collecting that data. It's how do I organize these things? How do we store them? And so for me, like I said, I use Google Photos. I've used it pretty much since it came out. It's been a really useful tool for that, and it still is. And I said the only difference is now is this summer they're talking about charging if you're over a certain amount. And so if you're just using it for general storage or whatever, not a big deal. To get to it, if you go to photos.google.com, that will bring you here. These are just some pictures that we have from my school account. Also, just for what it's worth, the little grid up here in the upper right, if you click on that, you'll see photos here as well. So once you've got it set up, if I wanted to upload a picture directly, I could upload right here and just upload right from my computer. That's one option. If you install it on your phone, right, same kind of process as once you install it, it will actually ask you, do you want me to upload photos, from your phone, upload onto the same account? The big thing with that, if this is your personal phone, you just want to be aware and cognizant of, it's your personal phone or is it your school account? Like, which thing are you using? You don't want to mix your peanut butter and chocolate there. You want to make sure that if it's your personal phone, you can use that for your personal account. If it's a school device, use it for your school account. It just makes it easy. You can choose in the settings. Usually it's right up here in the upper right. You can choose which account you're in, so you can jump back and forth. But you just want to be aware of that. So here is a photo album, and this is just a handful of pictures. And I'll actually put this link right in, I have it here in the show notes here, right in the chat. And the reason why I'm sharing this one specifically is a couple teachers were asking, have emailed me a little while ago, hey, I'm looking for some cool photos. I need it for different topics, whatever it is. Maybe it's a header, maybe it's a report or whatever it is. So I really wanted to start a collection of really high quality photos that anybody's taken. Maybe it's another teacher or a student or something that's like that we want to share. These are, of course, some drone ones, so those are kind of fun. But just a bunch of different high quality photos that anybody could use in the school for whatever they might need it for. So one of the cool things you can do in here is right in Google Photos here. If I have a couple pictures, I'll take a picture of the new pond down here. Here's a cool one right here. I can click on that. I can add it in the upper right here, add it to a shared album. A shared album, just like it sounds like, is I can create a new shared album. And we'll call this shared 19 photos. Now that album, you can add other people to it if you want to directly, like as basically the same idea as if you had like a Google Doc that you'd share them. Or if you want to, you can actually make it public for a certain amount of time so that anybody could upload photos too. An example of this, why that might be useful, is let's say, for example, back when we were doing a lot of field trips, back in the before times, if you had a bunch of parents go and you want them to be able to upload photos to it, but you don't want to have to, get emails to you and then back up there, whatever, kind of the organization part of it. You could create a shared album, make it available so that anybody could just add to it. And then after, when you're done, when you have them, you could turn that off. So it's open forever, that people could just keep adding things to it. Right here where it says create link, if I click on that, this will say, let anyone with this link see photos of people's album. I'll create the link. This is the link I would give to somebody to see it. But I can also, once it's done, I can also come in here to options and I can say, do I allow other people to add photos or not? Do I allow them to do comments or not? And do I let them share it otherwise? So again, these are all settings depending on what your needs are. Maybe you have a shared album with your students, or maybe you have one. Like I said, I'm using this one here. I just started collecting kind of cool pictures that we've taken. And I'd like to start, making a big repository of higher quality photos of our school district, basically, that we can just access. So if you need something for a project, or if your students do, they can just take it and use it. All right. Other things in here, when you first sign up, if you sign up for your own personal one of the things we'll ask you is upload size, high quality, free and limited, or original. Okay, so just kind of understand what those two things are. Original quality, if you're using your phone and you're taking pictures with this, there's really not going to be much of a difference between high quality, what they consider high quality, and original. The reason why they add that caveat in there is if you were a professional photographer and you were taking really high quality photos, like really huge photos that were, large sizes, like multi-gigabit, maybe tens of gigabytes or maybe even more, raw files, that kind of thing, then, you might want the original because you're never going to lose any quality. Any photos that you're taking with your phone, basically even the best phones out there, even the latest iPhone, the latest Android phone or whatever, the quality of those pictures, unless you're talking 8K, which if you don't know what that is, then don't worry about it. You're not taking 8K pictures. Then high quality is perfectly fine. If you have physical pictures, and this also works for documents as well. If you have a document, or if you have like a photo album. That's what I did. Like I said, over vacation, my sons and I took our photo album out. You take a picture, you set it there. One of the problems, if you're ever taking a picture of a picture, you ever use your phone to take a picture of like a photo, one of the things you'll notice is that it kind of reflects, right? Because depending on what the lights are. So it doesn't do a great picture. It has some reflections, it has some shadows, that kind of stuff. This app, again, it's a free app here. It's called PhotoScan. There's Google PhotoScan right here, Android or iOS, doesn't matter. Basically what happens is it will take a picture, turn the sound off. It will take a picture, but it'll have you take 4. Now, you don't actually have to snap the button 4 times. Fast forward this a little bit. I'm going to show you the process here. Here we go. So what you'll do is you actually move your phone around 4 areas of the picture, and it will make a better single image out of that. See how it'll take it, kind of take the best pictures of it. It will remove that reflection. It also, if you have your picture kind of sitting on top of a, on a table or something like that, it will also crop it automatically, so you don't have to worry about cropping it afterward. It's a really useful tool. And finally, once it's set up, it will automatically connect to your Google Photos. So as you're taking pictures of your physical real pictures, it will be uploading them so that when you're done, you'll have a photo album of latest uploads or whatever, and there they'll all be. So that's a really best way of doing that. That's why, like I was saying, that's why I was kind of recommending, if you're going to do that, you want to do it before June, because that way it won't count towards your storage. Here we go, back when our hair was really cool. After you've taken those pictures, jump out of this one here. And if you want to edit them, if you want to make some changes or edits or updates or filters, that kind of stuff, there's kind of a couple different ways of doing that. Snapseed is a free mobile app that does this. So it works on, again, iOS or Android. You have it on your phone, and let's say you have a picture you've taken or whatever, it gives you some tools to edit it, like to maybe crop it, some filters, maybe make it a little contrasty or exposure or whatever you want to do mobile. So this is a really good free tool for that purpose. There are other ones out there, of course. There's a million photo editors, but this is a pretty good one. It's called Snapseed. And there's even a website I included in the show notes here. Actually, I'll throw it in the chat too. So if you want to download it, again, this is mobile only, but this will let you, just kind of update it and change it as you want to. If you want to change a photo that you're looking at, let's pick this one here. Built right into Google Photos. So let's say I've uploaded them, they're sitting there. Now this you'd want to do on a computer, either a Chromebook or a laptop or Mac or whatever. Right here, if I go to the photo in the upper right, you'll see these little, I don't know, those little sliders, I guess. I think they're supposed to be edit icon. I can click on that. And now the first round here are going to give me some filters. These filters are just going to do a overall, they have kind of cool names. Here's black and white one. Here's a little bit more reddish or orangish. This one's like the saturation's really far up. So they're just different effects. If you've used Instagram or any of those type of apps that do this, you're familiar with these type of things. If you don't like those, you don't want those, I don't want to filter. I want to really get in here and do something else. Over on the right here, up at the top here, you'll see this little circle one here. This is the crop tool, and you can use that just like it sounds like. So let's say I want to crop out everything but just the building itself. So we'll do something like that. You can also tilt it here. So if you want to make a tilted version of that, I'm going to crop it a little bit bigger. So something like that. If I wanted to tilt it. All right, we'll click done. So here it is. The final little icon here in the middle, again, these sliders, this will give you even more fine tuning. Now, if you notice here, all the things we're doing to these images, it does it to the entire image at once. It won't let you change just a little piece of it. I'm going to show you a tool in a second that will let you do that. So here are my choices here. First, pop, which also used to be called sharpen. So this kind of changes that. If you notice, a little bit blurrier versus a little bit sharper. Again, you can adjust these at any time. If I go up here, here's light. If I click the little pull down here, there's exposure. So I need it a little bit overexposed, or the contrast up. All these things you can change. Here's my highlights and shadows, the whites and the blacks here. A little darker here. Vignette. So if I want to make it so it looks like it's kind of focusing in, that's kind of cool effect. If at any point you want to see what it looked like originally, these are cool, but what was again, go back. If you click on the picture itself, you just click right here, it will jump back and forth between the edits you've made and the original image. So you can do that in point. That was light. Here's color. Same kind of idea. Get these sliders. So here's my saturation. If I really want to make it brighter, we'll keep it up nice and bright. We'll add it a little warmer so it looks like maybe a little fall. Here's some tints. If I want to make it green or red, all this kind of stuff, skin tone and deep pool. So if I like that, I can keep it. I'm going to click done. Here's the cool thing about editing Google Photos right here. So here's my new image. And if I can look at that, it's like, I don't like that anymore. I want it back to the way it was. It's non-destructive. And what that means is it makes those edits, but it always keeps the original copy as well. So if you ever wanted to go back and do a different edit or a different cut, I can come back in here to the edit mode, click undo edits. It'll bring it back to what it originally was. So it's a non-destructive editor, which is really handy because there's sometimes maybe you want to do different versions of the same picture just because, right? Just because you're doing different things. Maybe one's black and white and one's higher color, whatever. Cool. So those are the edit modes built right into Google Photos. PhotoP. This is another tool that we talked about before, or at least we've mentioned. So this is kind of like Photoshop, if you know what Photoshop is. The difference is it's free, which is a big difference, obviously, and it's web-based. That means you can use it right online. And so PhotoP, so PEA, again, some of the kids pronounce it Photopia or Photopia, I don't know, whatever it is, photop.com. This right here will let you do not just editing in the sense of full image editing or filter editing, but actually individual pieces. So I'm just going to download a quick picture here, which is the Nokomis one right here. And the only reason I'm downloading this one is just so you can see if I upload it. Now, unlike Google Photos, where I can edit it right in the web page, right on here, I can edit this one right built into Google Photos. In this case, I actually have to download it so I can re-upload it into PhotoP. So back in here, I can say a new project or open from computer, pull that picture I just downloaded up. Here it is. And this is where I can get into if I want to edit certain pieces of it. Let's say, for example, I'm not going to go too much with PhotoP because I could do an entire session on this, but I just want to show you some tools it has here. Let's say I wanted to hide this stuff right here. I want to get rid of that. It's kind of ugly. I want to get rid of it. I could copy a section of this. And now if I wanted to move this, I could hide it. So if I go back to the original picture, I could really make individual pieces. So let's say you have a really good picture, but there's a rip in it, a physical picture, or maybe there's a certain thing that you want to kind of sketch out, or whatever it is, kind of Photoshop-like type things. PhotoP is a really good tool for that. Obviously, it has layers, and we can talk about that too. But that's where I start getting into pixel by pixel image editing. All right. So the other reason why I wanted, you keep seeing my son here, why this one's coming on, is because another kind of cool feature that Google Photos does, and you can ignore this if you want to, but every once in a while it'll take pictures and it will add effects to them kind of for you. It's very similar to that idea where, like, if like in Facebook, every once in a while, if you'll see a picture, you'll say, hey, a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever, here's a picture from that time. These have a lot of the same type of features. So this is an image, for example, that I took, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but it automatically added this effect. If you can see that, and now it's like black and white. This is called color splash, or where you have one color kind of come through. I did not do this. I didn't do anything to this. This was the original picture I took. This is a snapshot I took out back behind the house. And then it provided this one for me as well. It gave me both. It said, hey, do you like this one? If you do, you can click save. If you don't, you can just delete it. But this is a good example of what's called machine learning. And the idea here is it actually can know where he stopped and where the rest of it was behind him, where it was, right? And so that's the kind of things that it can provide for you. Again, if it's something you're interested, here it is, ColorPop, they call that one. A couple other things it will do. So here's another one it did. Again, I didn't have anything to do with this. It just sent me this picture. Every once in a while, it'll send you a picture. It said, hey, these three people, these pictures are like a couple years, I think 2 years apart from each other, maybe even 3. Actually, yeah, no, it is definitely more than 2 years because Caitlin's a little bit bigger there. But same 3 people said, hey, look, before and after, or then and now, just kind of a cool effect. Again, this is just, they just come to you. Some of these other ones here, some of these other effects. This one here, if you take a number of pictures and time-wise, you do it like right after each other. So click, 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 click. You do a bunch of pictures that are just snapshots right next to each other. When you upload them, it will take them and put them together up to 50. And so this was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 pictures that I took of the kids swinging, and it made a little animated GIF out of that. Again, I didn't create this; it just provided this for me, which is kind of interesting. All right, that's probably good. So let's jump back here. I think that's all for Google Photos specifically. And again, the reason why I mention this is because if you are interested in uploading your photos before the unlimited, again, for your personal account, don't worry about the school one. This is a good time to do it. This is the next month and a half or so. Are there any questions about Google Photos? Just checking the chat real quickly. I don't see any. All right. So cool. We're going to move on to this one here. The new set of virtual reality headsets I mentioned. So we now have a cart in the building that is available to sign out. Just email me and let me know. And I can bring it to your room and show you how to use it. And depending on the timing of it, it can help your class, or I might be able to just drop it off. What it is a set of these VR headsets Okay, and so each of these headsets here have a device in them, of a phone. It's basically the equivalent of a phone without the phone capability. There's no phone involved, but it's just like a device here. And these will have a bunch of different tours that are installed. So for example, let's go to the International Space Station. I'll click on that one here. And you can view in VR. And then I know you won't be able to see this very well, but the kids can look around and visit these different places. There are some interactions. Some of these tours will have things like, you click on a certain thing, it might read something out loud, or it might kind of zoom in or whatever. We also have these guys right here. Okay, so if you want to be a ninja, or if you just want to, these are disposable kind of masks that go along with these. So as kids are using these between cleanings or so forth, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't have enough of these for every use, but we do have enough of these for the students. So if students are using these, they would get one of these and they'd keep it, right? So we don't have enough of these to like just throw them away every time, but they could keep this to use it for next time, or something like that. We're still figuring out kind of the logistics of this, how it's going to work. But that's what we want to do next, is they're ready to go. We have about, I don't know, 20 or so tours on there. If you go to, I'll put the app, the link in the chat, but if you go to the Arts and Culture app, which is that Google Arts and Culture app, it will give you the list of all the possible VR tours that are out there. And then you can pick what this one that we don't have listed. You can say, oh, I really want this one, and we can add it. This is the process. And so this link here for this process, I'll also throw in the chat. It's just Nokomis VR. So that will bring you to this page right here. These will be the directions. Again, we had a student work through this. We're still figuring these out. So as we do these with classes, if there's something that we missed, we'll add this to the process, or the whole procedure. These are the tours that are currently available. I am going to put links on these right now. They're not linked, but I'm going to add links, so you'll be able to click on them and pull it up and kind of look at it before you do that. But we're working on adding these all the time, so we can keep adding more and more tours. And then there's also other experiences, not just a physical tour or a virtual tour that you can look around. We're working on connecting it with the co-spaces programs that the kids at the high school are creating. They're creating virtual experiences that the middle schools or elementary schools would be able to access. So for example, Miss Clark, the science teacher at the high school, they did tours across the street of the trails, and they created little interactive food webs for the areas over there. For example, you might have across the street, you have the Nokomis Trail. You'd have a virtual fox that's chasing a virtual mouse or whatever, and little information goes with that. So if you are studying food webs in your class and you're interested in kind of experience those or see what those would look like, we'd be able to access those with these headsets. And so that's something that's built in as well. So if you have any questions about that, as usual, just go ahead and throw them in the chat, or just email me and we'll kind of get that squared away. And the final thing I'm going to share today, we're running up at the time here, is, and again, I'll also put this in the chat, is coming up on May 20th, there's going to be the 21st, let's see, I'm not sure what number it is, but the Milty Student Conference. Usually they do this every year in May, and usually it's in person. They just available for 7th and 8th graders. You go to Orono, and they do a whole thing up there with technology and integration and so forth. Last year, of course, was a little bit different just because of kind of last minute they had to switch it. This year, they're doing it purely virtual. So if you are interested in joining this, let me know. I'll let you know they're still working on the actual schedule, whatever, but it will be purely virtual. Kids will be able to join, do interactive activities during the day. Like I said, they haven't announced everything that's going to be out there yet. But once they do, there'll be kind of, tech-focused things. But you'd be able to join them and walk them through, and they could join and do different activities during that day. During that May 20th is a date for that. So if that's something that you're interested in, let us know. Email me, or you can certainly look on the site. If you just Google MLTI Student Conference, it'll pop right up. So I think with that, here, I'll throw that in the chat too. All right, see if that comes up there we go. All right, so for more information, I'm just going to throw this right in the chat so you have this if you're interested. But if you are, also if you would let me know, only because I'd love to know how many from our district go, if we want to help setting that up and getting that coordinated. They're announcing soon exactly what topics will be covered and what things you can sign up for. This will be open to more grades than just 6th and 7th. Usually it's just 6th and 7th grades because that's the multi-program is mostly on that level. But they do have some high school available pieces, and they also have some younger grades, probably 6th or 5th. I don't know if they're going younger than 5th grade this year, but if they do, let me know. And I think with that, that is a great place to stop. So as always, thank you guys for joining me. This will be posted. I will mention last thing before we go. Somebody asked if they have an attendance for participation for being at these, and I do not. I do not keep an attendance for these. So if that's something that you would like, let me know. I can start adding a link every week so that for people that actually come to the live PD versus watching it later on, it's fine with me. I don't care either way. But I do not actively keep a list of who's attended. So if that's something that you need, maybe you want to keep track. And I think I mentioned this before, but if you do want the list of all the different tech PDs as far as the backlist, I will add that to the chat here. There we go. They're all listed on that same site that you use to get here for all the archived versions, the old ones from before this. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys all. Have a fantastic Wednesday, and I will see you in a week.